I never thought I'd be the kind of guy to feel jealous. You two seem really close, I joked one evening, nudging her shoulder lightly as she laughed at something Liam said. She looked at me, eyes sparkling. Close? We've always been close, haven't we? Her smile made my chest tighten, like it always did. I shrugged. Yeah, close. I guess. Liam leaned back in his chair, smirking. Careful, man. You sound like a jealous boyfriend already. I laughed, brushing it off. Not jealous. Just, observant. He raised an eyebrow, clearly amused. Observant? You mean suspicious. I waved my hands. Fine, suspicious. Happy. The three of us had always been inseparable, her, me, and Liam. Since high school, it had been that way. I thought it was perfect. I thought it would always be perfect. Later, she rested her head against my shoulder on the couch. You're quiet tonight, she whispered. Just tired, I muttered. You sure? Her voice had that soft teasing tone I couldn't resist. Or are you thinking about us? I laughed awkwardly. Maybe a little. She hummed, snuggling closer. I like it when you think about us. I felt my chest warm, but a tiny knot of unease twisted inside me. It was nothing, probably nothing. Just my imagination. Liam suddenly interrupted, his grin wide. Hey, do you remember that time we... Stop, I said with mock annoyance. You're going to make me laugh so hard I'll spill my drink. He laughed anyway, and she laughed with him. I joined in, forcing my voice cheerful, even as that knot tightened. Why did it feel different tonight? Are you okay? She asked, glancing at me. Yeah, totally, I said too quickly. Just tired, like I said. She tilted her head, studying me, but didn't press further. I hated that she noticed so much without needing to say it. Later, while Liam grabbed snacks from the kitchen, she leaned toward me, voice low. You trust me, right? I nodded immediately. Always. Even when it comes to him. I frowned. Of course. Why would I? She smirked, brushing a strand of hair behind her ear. Just checking. My stomach twisted. That smirk should have been innocent, but it wasn't quite right. I shook my head. Everything's fine. Liam returned, carrying chips and soda like a king returning with treasure. Did I miss anything? I tried to smile. Nope. You're just in time for the movie. She grabbed the popcorn eagerly. This is going to be so good. I love scary movies with you too. I sank into the couch, feeling a strange mixture of comfort and unease. I wanted to believe nothing was wrong. I wanted to trust them completely. I always had. But sometimes, I caught a look between them, a flicker of something that didn't belong. I told myself I was imagining things. I laughed at Liam's jokes, held her hand, and forced the night to feel normal. Still, in the back of my mind, I couldn't shake it. That tiny seed of doubt had been planted. And even though I told myself it was nothing, part of me knew, just knew, that the perfect illusion of us might not be as solid as I wanted to believe. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. My phone screen glowed in the dark, the messages staring back at me like knives. Are you serious? I whispered, voice shaking. She looked up from her side of the couch, casually scrolling through her own phone. What do you mean? I held the screen toward her. These messages. Between you and Liam. Her eyes widened. I can explain. Explain what? That you kissed him last night. My voice cracked. She blinked, then looked at me like I was overreacting. I didn't mean. It just happened. I didn't mean. I repeated, my hands trembling. We've been together for months, and this just happened. Liam's voice came from the doorway. Wait, what's happening? I turned to him, anger boiling. You tell me, Liam. Did you kiss her? He rubbed the back of his neck, forcing a smile. Look, it wasn't planned. She came on to me. I didn't know how to say no. I laughed, a bitter sound that made my chest hurt. She came on to you. So I'm just supposed to believe that? She's telling the truth, he insisted. I didn't chase her, okay? I stared at him, disbelief warring with rage. So we're just supposed to pretend this never happened? That nothing is broken? She shrank back slightly, avoiding my gaze. I didn't want to hurt you. I swear. I didn't think it would. Didn't think it would hurt me. I shouted. You're my girlfriend. You're supposed to care about how I feel. She swallowed hard. I do care. Things are complicated. Complicated? I echoed, voice barely controlled. You call kissing my best friend complicated? Liam stepped closer, trying to calm me down. Look, I messed up, okay? But it wasn't like that. We didn't mean. You didn't mean to betray me. I cut in sharply. You didn't mean to ruin everything. She bit her lip, looking guilty but strangely distant. I didn't plan it, I swear. I don't know how to explain it. Don't know how to explain it. I repeated, my hands trembling so badly I had to grip the couch. You don't know how to explain destroying the one thing that mattered to me? Liam tried again. Can we just sit down and talk? Please. We can fix this somehow. I shook my head violently. Fix this? Do you even hear yourselves? You kissed behind my back. You lied to me every single day. A silence fell. Her eyes were wet, Liam looked ashamed, and I felt hollow, like the floor beneath me had vanished. Finally, I whispered, voice raw. I trusted you both, with everything. And this is what I get? She glanced down, voice barely audible. I didn't know you'd find out like this. I thought, maybe it wouldn't matter. I laughed bitterly again. Wouldn't matter? Do you even hear yourself? Liam's hand hovered near my shoulder. I never wanted to hurt you. I didn't think about the consequences. Not think about the consequences. I spat. Do you have any idea how much this hurts me? She said nothing, her silence louder than any words. I turned away, heart pounding. I need to be alone. She reached out, but I stepped back. Don't touch me. Liam muttered, I'll give you space, just think about it. I didn't respond. I sank onto the couch, staring at the wall as my chest burned. My mind replayed every laugh, every smile, every word I thought meant something. And now it all felt like lies. I wanted to scream. I wanted to cry. I wanted to believe this wasn't real. But it was real. And I was left standing in the ruins of everything I trusted, everything I loved. The betrayal wasn't just a mistake. It was a knife twisted in my chest. And I knew, deep down, that life would never be the same. I woke up to silence, the kind that pressed down on me like a heavy weight. My phone buzzed, messages from Liam, from her, but I couldn't bring myself to open them. Are you okay? My sister asked when she peeked into my room. I don't know, I admitted, my voice barely above a whisper. She walked in, sitting on the edge of my bed. Talk to me. I know something's wrong. I shook my head. Nothing I can say makes sense. You think too much, she said softly. You always do. But maybe this time, maybe talking will help. I ran a hand through my hair. They betrayed me, okay? Both of them. My girlfriend, my best friend. Everything I thought mattered, gone. Her eyes softened. I know it hurts. But you can't let it destroy you. How? I asked, voice cracking. How do I stop thinking about every laugh we shared, every time I trusted them? How do I stop replaying that kiss over and over? You can't erase it, she said gently. But you can survive it. You need to let yourself feel it, not bottle it up. And you need perspective. I feel like I can't trust anyone, I muttered, staring at the ceiling. I keep imagining them laughing at me, talking behind my back. Maybe everyone's like that. She shook her head firmly. Don't go down that path. Not everyone betrays like they did. You have to be careful, but not paranoid. You're better than letting this eat you alive. Later, I met my mentor at the office. He noticed immediately. You look terrible, he said, handing me coffee. I've been betrayed, I muttered, barely able to get the words out. By someone close. Yeah, two someones. He sighed, leaning back in his chair. I've seen this before. Betrayal can feel like a hurricane inside you. It makes you question everything. But listen, revenge isn't the solution. Reflection is. I don't know if I can just reflect, I admitted. I keep thinking about every little thing I missed. Every glance, every smile, maybe they meant something else. They meant exactly what they did, he said plainly. You can't rewrite the past. You can only control your response. And right now, you're letting it control you. I can't stop thinking about her, I confessed, voice low. And him. I can't stop hating him. Good, he said carefully. Hate isn't bad. It's a tool. But don't let it rule you. Use it to rebuild yourself. I nodded slowly, sipping my coffee. His words didn't fix the hollow feeling, but they planted a seed. Maybe I wasn't completely powerless. Back home, I replayed the past few weeks. I remembered her laugh, the way she rested her head on my shoulder, the way Liam always seemed to know what to say. I wondered if it had all been lies. I whispered to myself, was I that blind? How could I not see it? My sister popped her head in again. You've been talking to yourself. I glared at her. I'm thinking. Thinking or spiraling, she teased, though her tone was gentle. You're letting them win by letting this consume you. I can't just forget. I snapped, then immediately regretted it. My chest ached. I can't trust myself anymore. Or anyone. You'll trust again, she said firmly. But not today. Not yet. Give yourself time. And don't isolate yourself completely. You need grounding. I don't know if I want to see anyone, I muttered. You need to, she said, a little firmer this time. Even if it's just me, even if it's just small steps. You can't drown in this alone. I nodded, swallowing hard. My chest was tight, my hands trembling slightly, but I felt a tiny flicker, a reminder that I could survive this. Maybe even grow stronger. But the images haunted me, their smiles, their whispers, the betrayal that cut deeper than I thought possible. I wondered if I would ever stop questioning every action, every word, every gesture. Maybe I'll never trust anyone the same way again, I muttered quietly to myself. My sister didn't respond, just left me to my thoughts. And as I sat there in silence, I realized she was right, I couldn't erase the pain. I could only survive it. And somehow, somewhere, I had to start figuring out how. I stared at the ceiling, tracing the cracks with my eyes. I can't let this break me, I muttered aloud, more to myself than anyone else. My phone buzzed, and I almost ignored it. But curiosity got the better of me. It was a message from Alex, a coworker I barely knew but trusted more than most these days. Coffee? I feel like you need someone to talk to. I hesitated, then typed back, yeah. I need that. We met at the small cafe down the street. The smell of coffee was oddly comforting. Alex smiled, warm and unassuming. You look like hell. I feel like hell, I admitted. Good. Honesty first, Alex said, sliding a cup toward me. Now, tell me everything. I took a deep breath. It's them, my girlfriend and my best friend. They. Stop, Alex interrupted gently. Breathe. I've seen enough horror stories in my time. You need strategy, not just heartbreak. Strategy? I laughed bitterly. I don't need strategy. I don't know. Revenge? Closure? Something. Alex tilted their head, studying me. Revenge is a tool. Closure is a lie we tell ourselves. What you need is control. Right now, they have all of it. You let them hurt you because you handed them the power. I frowned, taking a sip of coffee. So. I take it back. Exactly, Alex said. Small steps. Observe. Learn their weaknesses. Don't act blindly. I nodded slowly, feeling a spark of something dangerous, something necessary. Okay, small steps. But, what if I mess up? You won't, Alex said firmly. You've already survived the worst. Everything else is just testing your patience. Later, I found myself back at the cafe, pretending to scroll through my phone. I watched her from across the street as she met Liam. Their laughter carried, sharp and carefree, like a knife twisting. She's too comfortable, I muttered to myself. And he's arrogant enough to think he's untouchable. Alex's words echoed in my mind, observe. Learn. Don't act blindly. I scribbled notes in my notebook, tracking every detail, who they text, who they hang out with, the way her eyes lingered on him just a moment too long. Paranoid much? My sister asked later that night, peeking into my room. I waved her off. No, just, paying attention. You sound like a spy, she said, smirking. Maybe I need to be, I muttered, eyes narrowing. They thought they could manipulate me. I'm done letting that happen. The next day at work, Liam came by my desk. Hey, look, I just want to. I cut him off. Save it, Liam. I don't want to hear your excuses. His confident smirk faltered slightly. Excuses? You can't just ignore everything we had. I'm not ignoring, I said coolly, leaning back in my chair. I'm recalibrating. You're about to see me, differently. He frowned, confusion flickering across his face. I felt a thrill at the tiny crack in his arrogance. Recalibrating, he repeated, almost laughing. Yeah, I said, voice low. Pay attention. Everything changes now. Later, I met Alex again, laying out my observations. See these patterns? I asked, pointing to my notebook. She always leaves her phone unlocked. Liam brags about small wins at work. They think they're untouchable. But they're not. Alex nodded approvingly. Good. You're starting to think like a player. Not a victim. I smiled faintly, a cold, determined smile. I never wanted to be one. But they forced my hand. Remember, Alex said, leaning in, don't rush. Small victories. Observe, then act. And always keep your emotions in check. I nodded, gripping my pen tightly. I can do that. I will do that. I won't let them hurt me again. Not now. Not ever. Walking home later, I replayed her laugh, his smug smile. Pain still lingered, but beneath it, a new feeling, focus. Purpose. A plan forming. I whispered to myself, they think they've won. But the game is just beginning. And this time, I'm in control. I sat at my desk, fingers hovering over my keyboard, staring at the social media post she'd just made. Smiling, laughing with Liam. My chest tightened, but instead of crumbling, I leaned in closer. She thinks she's untouchable, I muttered to myself. Alex, sitting across from me, sipped their coffee. Good. That means you've noticed. That arrogance is your advantage. I looked up. I don't want to play games. But I need them to see that I'm still relevant. That I matter. Alex nodded. Exactly. Start small. Observe, nudge, then escalate. Subtlety is key. I exhaled slowly, remembering the times we all laughed together, the nights she rested against me like I was the only person in the world. That warmth felt like a lie now, but it also fueled me. I wasn't going to let that go without leaving my mark. The next day at work, I approached Liam casually. Hey, I noticed something about the Johnson project, I said, keeping my tone light. Some numbers don't add up. Maybe a review would be smart. He frowned, leaning over my shoulder. Numbers don't lie. Maybe not, I said, smiling faintly. But maybe someone overlooked a detail. Could be embarrassing if it slipped to management. He straightened, suddenly alert. I'll double-check. Thanks for pointing it out. I felt a small thrill. That unease in his expression. That's how it starts. Small cracks, doubts, and mistakes adding up. Later, I ran into her at the cafe where she met Liam every Thursday. She waved, bright and carefree. Hey. Haven't seen you in a while. Busy, I replied curtly, forcing a casual tone. Thought I'd grab a coffee. She leaned in, voice soft. You okay? You've seemed distant. I'm fine, I said, eyes narrowing slightly. Just, observing. Observing, she repeated, a hint of amusement in her voice. I shrugged, taking a sip of my coffee. Sometimes you notice things when you stop pretending everything's perfect. Her smile faltered for a split second. I caught it. I wasn't cruel, I was calculating. I wanted her to feel the smallest taste of uncertainty she'd given me. Later, back at my apartment, I pulled out my notebook. Notes, observations, small plans forming, a missed message here, an exposed lie there. I don't want to ruin them completely, I whispered to myself, but they need to see consequences. I thought back to our happier times, the movie nights, the lazy mornings. I felt a pang of sadness, a moral twinge. Was I becoming like them? Using manipulation to hurt those I once loved? Alex's voice echoed in my head, subtlety. Control. Don't let emotions rule you. I nodded, scribbling again. Focus, I whispered. Everything else is noise. The next day at work, Liam came over again. Hey, about those numbers, he started cautiously. I've double-checked, I said smoothly. There are minor inconsistencies. Nothing catastrophic, but noticeable if upper management reviews it. His eyes flickered with panic, just a hint. Thanks. I'll handle it. Yes, I said quietly, almost to myself, handle it. She called me later that evening. Can we talk? I hesitated, then answered. Sure. I just feel like things are awkward, she said. We've been friends for so long, I don't know how to. I interrupted gently but firmly. Friendship? That's what you want to call it? After everything? Her voice wavered. I don't know. Maybe I messed up. You did, I said, calm but cutting. And now you're going to feel the consequences. Slowly, subtly. So you remember. There was a pause on the line. I didn't realize it would hurt you this much. I swallowed, the hurt still there but tempered by resolve. It hurt. But I'll survive. You'll just notice that I survived. Hanging up, I leaned back, letting the tension leave me. This wasn't about vengeance for cruelty, it was about reclaiming power, self-respect, dignity. I'd been vulnerable, and they'd exploited it. Now the game had shifted. That night, I went through old messages, old photos, memories that stung. I smiled faintly, bitter but resolute. They think they're perfect, I muttered. But nobody's flawless. Not her. Not him. Not anyone. And for the first time in weeks, I felt a flicker of control, a glimmer of purpose. Small steps, careful movements, calculated actions. That was my path forward. I whispered to the empty room, let's see who really matters in the end. And who's left standing when the illusion fades. I watched from across the street as she argued with Liam outside the cafe, their voices carrying sharp and tense. I stayed hidden, notebook in hand, heart thrumming with a strange mixture of satisfaction and guilt. You promised me this weekend, she shouted. I told you, I have work. Stop blowing things out of proportion. Liam snapped, fists clenched. I whispered to myself, they're unraveling exactly as I expected. A passerby glanced at them, frowning. Everything okay? She waved them off, voice trembling. Yes, we're fine. I shook my head, smirking slightly. Fine. Nothing about them was fine. Their smiles, their laughter, gone. Replaced by tension and guilt. Later, Liam approached me at the office, trying to act casual. Hey, everything all right between you and her? I leaned back in my chair, cool and collected. Why do you care? He flinched slightly. I just want things to be normal. Normal? I echoed. Things have been far from normal for a while, haven't they? He avoided my eyes. Look, I'm sorry, about everything. I didn't mean. You didn't mean. I interrupted, voice low but firm. That doesn't undo the damage. And it certainly doesn't excuse how careless you were. He swallowed. I know. I didn't think. Exactly, I said, voice sharp. You didn't think. And now, you're paying the price. Later that evening, she called me. Her voice was quieter than usual. I feel like everyone's judging me. People are noticing. Noticing what? I asked casually, though my pulse raced. That, you know. Liam and I. People talk. I didn't expect it to spread so quickly. I nodded to myself. Karma has a way of moving faster than you think. There was silence on the line. I just want things to go back to how they were, she said softly. I exhaled slowly. Some things can't go back. But maybe, you'll learn from it. She sniffled. I guess I have to. But it's harder than I imagined. I'm sure it is, I said, carefully neutral. Actions have consequences. The next day, I overheard colleagues whispering in the break room. Did you hear about Liam? He screwed up the Johnson project. Management is not happy. And she's acting weird, all nervous and apologetic. I smiled faintly, hiding behind my coffee cup. Small victories, I reminded myself. Observation first, action later. Later, Liam stopped by my desk again, looking anxious. Hey. I think I messed up big time. Can you help me figure out how to fix it? I leaned back, calm and measured. I could help. But you have to earn it. Prove you've learned from your mistakes first. He frowned, clearly frustrated but nodding slowly. Yeah, I understand. I'll do better. I let the words hang. Not mercy, just strategy. I wanted him to understand that my patience was not weakness. That night, I reflected on everything, memories of happier times flickering like a slideshow. I whispered to myself, this isn't revenge, it's balance. They hurt me, yes, but I'm not cruel. I'm deliberate. Alex called later, checking in. How's the plan going? Better than I expected, I admitted. They're making mistakes, showing cracks. People notice. It's satisfying, but. Alex prompted. I feel conflicted. I'm not enjoying hurting them, exactly. But seeing them face consequences, it feels right. Necessary. Alex chuckled softly. That's the difference. You're not blind with anger. You're strategic. That's why you're still in control. I nodded, taking a deep breath. Control, that's what matters now. Restraint, patience. Every move has to count. The next morning, I watched her leave the building, clearly flustered, phone pressed to her ear. Yes, I'll handle it, she muttered, voice tense. A coworker passed by, whispering, she looks stressed. Something's up. I smiled faintly, hiding behind my desk again. Karma doesn't rush, it arrives quietly, persistently. And right now, it was moving in my favor. I whispered to myself, patience. Observation. Every little crack, every misstep. I'll be ready. The thought of confrontation no longer scared me. I felt power, but also a strange sense of responsibility. I wasn't just punishing, they were revealing themselves. Every mistake, every slip, it was their own doing. By the end of the day, I closed my notebook and leaned back, satisfied yet cautious. They're learning lessons, slowly, painfully. And I paused, voice low, I'm finally learning mine. Restraint. Strategy. Power without impulsiveness. Control without losing myself. I exhaled, letting the tension leave me. Karma was in motion, but the game was far from over. And I intended to play it with precision. I found them at the park, sitting on the bench where we used to meet after school. She smiled when she saw me, like nothing had changed. Hey. I didn't expect to see you here, she said, voice light. I stopped a few feet away, arms crossed. I wanted to talk. All of us. Face to face. Her smile faltered slightly. Liam's hand hovered near his pocket, probably for his phone. Talk about what? He asked, clearly nervous. I inhaled slowly. About what you did. About what you've been doing to me, to us. Her eyes widened. I didn't. You didn't. I cut in sharply. You kissed him behind my back. You lied to me every single day, pretending we were fine. And you, Liam, I turned to him, voice low but cold. You betrayed me like it was nothing. Like I was nothing. He shifted uncomfortably. I made a mistake. It wasn't like that. Not like that. I repeated, stepping closer. You think saying it's a mistake erases months of deceit? Months of pretending? I trusted both of you. I loved you. And you threw it all away. She flinched, voice barely audible. I didn't know. I didn't think it would hurt this much. I laughed bitterly. You didn't think. That's your problem. You never thought about me. About my feelings. About the consequences. Liam opened his mouth, but I held up my hand. Save it. I don't want excuses. I want you to understand what it felt like. I thought back to the evenings we spent together, laughing, holding hands, trusting each other. Do you remember this bench? I asked, voice tight. We sat here after the final exams, talking about the future. You promised me you'd never hurt me. You promised loyalty. You promised everything. Her head dropped slightly. I remember. Do you remember how I stayed up all night making sure you were okay when you got sick? I asked. Do you remember how I defended him, your so-called best friend, when he messed up at work, even though I knew it would make me look weak? They were silent. Liam avoided my eyes, she fiddled with the hem of her shirt. And this, I said, gesturing between them, this betrayal, it didn't just hurt. It destroyed the illusion of trust one had. And it should. Because you earned every ounce of doubt I feel now. She finally looked up, tears glistening. I didn't think it would go this far. I didn't realize how much. Exactly, I said, voice firm. You didn't realize. And that's the point. Actions have consequences. And you're living with them now. Liam's voice was quieter, almost pleading. Can't we fix this? Talk it out. I shook my head slowly. No. Fixing it doesn't undo the damage. Talking it out doesn't restore the trust you shattered. A flash of memory hit me, her laughing with him at my birthday party, whispering while I was in the kitchen. My chest tightened. Do you remember my birthday? I invited both of you because I trusted you. And there you were, smirking, conspiring. I saw it, even if you didn't know I did. That moment, that should have been happiness. But you took it and made it pain. She choked back a sob. I didn't mean to ruin it. I swear. I swallowed my anger, voice cold but calm. Intent doesn't matter. The result does. And the result is that you are facing me, standing here, and realizing that what you thought was temporary fun, was permanent damage. Liam looked at her, panic flickering. I didn't know she felt this strongly. I stepped closer, my eyes locking on both of them. I felt it. Every betrayal. Every lie. Every stolen smile. And I survived. That's the difference. I am not broken. I am not weak. I am aware. I am stronger than either of you ever imagined. She whispered, I'm sorry. I nodded slowly. Sorry doesn't fix trust. Sorry doesn't erase the betrayal. But it's a start. For you to understand that your actions matter. That hurting people comes with consequences. That's all I need right now. Liam's shoulders slumped. I see that now. I turned my gaze to the bench, to the empty space beside us that used to be filled with laughter. I hope you both remember this moment, I said softly. Not because I want to humiliate you, but because I want you to feel the weight of the choices you made. And I want you to remember that I survived them. She nodded, tears streaming freely. I understand. I took a step back, exhaling slowly. Good. Now, I think it's time we all move forward. Separately. And maybe, learn from this. As I walked away, I whispered to myself, voice quiet but resolute, I am not who I was. I am stronger. I am wiser. And nothing, no one, will ever take my trust and my dignity again. I sat at the edge of the rooftop, city lights twinkling below like distant stars. For the first time in weeks, my chest felt lighter. The chaos was fading. The anger had cooled, replaced by clarity. Alex appeared beside me, carrying 2 coffees. You've earned a moment of peace, they said, offering 1 cup. I took it, nodding. Feels strange, seeing it all quiet. No fights, no tension, no secrets hanging over me. Alex smirked. Quiet can be loud if you listen closely. But yes, you've navigated the storm. You're stronger for it. I sipped slowly, letting the warmth settle. Stronger, yeah. I never imagined I could handle betrayal like that. But here I am. You've come a long way, Alex said, leaning back. And you've done it with your head, not just your heart. I smiled faintly. I realized something along the way. Revenge alone doesn't heal. Control, patience, knowing when to act, that's what mattered. And now, I paused, glancing at the city, now I can choose what comes next for me. Later that day, I ran into her at the coffee shop. She approached cautiously, voice quiet. Hey. I just wanted to say. I understand. I see how much I hurt you. I studied her, noticing the subtle shift, the tension, the guilt, the humility. I know, I said softly. You learned. I hope you carry that forward. But some things can't be fixed. Her eyes shimmered with unshed tears. I know. And I accept that. Good, I said, voice calm. Because accepting it is the first step. Remember, your actions always have consequences. She nodded. I will. Thank you, for showing me that. As she walked away, I felt a strange sense of closure. No lingering bitterness, no thirst for revenge. Just, acknowledgement. They had faced the consequences naturally, and I had survived them. Liam came by my office a few days later, looking humbled. I've realized how much I messed up. I want to apologize again. Truly. I leaned back in my chair, eyes steady on him. You've had your consequences, Liam. Management, social fallout, you know what that's like now. He nodded, swallowing. I do. And I won't make the same mistakes. I hope someday I can regain trust, though I know I've lost a lot. You've lost enough, I said, voice firm but fair. Let that be your lesson. He hesitated, then gave a small nod. Thank you, for handling it the right way. Calmly. Strategically. I exhaled, the tension in my shoulders easing. That's how I learned to survive. Not through rage, but through control. Later, I met Alex again, sharing a quiet bench at the park. It's over, isn't it? I asked, watching people pass by. For them? Alex said with a smile. Yes. For you. Only you can decide. I thought back to the months of heartbreak, betrayal, and planning. Every sleepless night, every note I wrote, every observation I made, led me here. I choose peace, I whispered. I choose myself. Alex raised an eyebrow. Bold choice. And wise. I laughed softly, the sound strange but freeing. It feels good. No games. No manipulation. Just me, knowing I survived, knowing I'm stronger, knowing I can trust myself again. The memories came unbidden, our laughter, the stolen moments, the pain. I allowed a small smile, not for them, not for what I lost, but for what I gained, resilience, clarity, and perspective. At home, my sister greeted me with a teasing grin. Look at you, all calm and collected. Who are you, and what did you do with my brother? I laughed, ruffling her hair. I'm me. But stronger. Smarter. And finally, free from the weight of betrayal. She hugged me briefly. I'm proud of you. You didn't just survive, you transformed. I did, I said softly, voice full of conviction. I faced pain, heartbreak, and deception. And I'm still standing. Not broken. Not bitter. Just, me. That evening, I looked at my reflection in the mirror. My eyes, once clouded with hurt, now held calm and purpose. I am not the same person who trusted blindly, I said quietly. I am someone who learned, who survived, and who chose to rise above the chaos. I thought about the bench, the rooftop, the conversations, the strategies. Every confrontation, every subtle move, every observation, it all led to this: clarity. Strength. Self-respect. I whispered to myself, voice steady, the past shaped me, but it does not define me. I choose my path. I choose who I become. And I will not let anyone take that from me again. For the first time in a long while, I felt complete. Not because I had won against them, not because of revenge, but because I had reclaimed myself. And in that reclamation, I discovered something more important than anger, more lasting than betrayal. I discovered peace. I leaned back in my chair at the cafe, watching the city hum around me. It was quieter now, calmer, and for the first time in months, I felt like I belonged, not anywhere in particular, but in myself. Alex slid into the seat across from me, coffee in hand. "You look lighter." I smiled faintly. "I feel lighter. The storm finally passed." "Finally?" Alex raised an eyebrow. "You handled it months ago." "I know," I said, stirring my cup. "But months ago, I was surviving. Now, I'm living. There's a difference." Alex leaned back, watching me closely. "And the others?" I shrugged. "They've learned their lessons. Naturally. Karma, consequences, whatever you want to call it. I didn't have to chase them. They just fell into the paths they created for themselves." Alex nodded approvingly. "That's what I like to hear. You didn't just survive, you grew." I let out a slow breath, thinking back to the nights I lay awake, replaying every betrayal, every lie. Do you remember how I used to replay her laugh in my head? How I imagined what he was thinking while I wasn't looking? I chuckled softly. I was consumed by it. I thought I couldn't escape. Alex smiled faintly. "And now?" "Now," I paused, letting the words settle. "Now I see that those memories are just markers. Not chains. They remind me what I survived, what I learned. And that makes me stronger." A friend from work passed by, waving. "Hey. Still haunting the cafe, huh?" I laughed. "Old habits die hard." "You seem different," they said, curiosity bright in their eyes. "Calmer, confident. What changed?" I shrugged, sipping my coffee. "I stopped letting people define me. I faced betrayal, heartbreak, and manipulation, and I came out myself, intact. Maybe even better." Alex chuckled softly. "Better, huh? That's the understatement of the century." I smiled, but the faintest pang of lingering hurt whispered in my chest. "Better, yes. But, not untouched. Some scars remain. Reminders. Not weaknesses. Just history." "Scars can be beautiful," Alex said, voice gentle. "They show where you've been, what you've endured. And you survived beautifully." I looked out the window at the people moving below, strangers laughing, arguing, living. I sometimes think about the bench, the rooftop, all those confrontations. I wonder if I'd have grown as much if I hadn't been betrayed. "You wouldn't have," Alex said quietly. "Pain has a way of teaching lessons we'd never learn otherwise." I nodded slowly. "I guess it's true. The heartbreak, the paranoia, the planning, every sleepless night made me who I am today. And I finally understand that my strength isn't just surviving betrayal, it's surviving myself. My own reactions, my own anger, my own doubt." Alex smiled. "And the people around you?" I glanced at my sister, who popped her head into the cafe, grinning. "She's a constant reminder that some anchors are worth holding on to. Family. Friends who stayed. People who mattered while everything else fell apart." "She always believed in you," Alex said. "I know," I replied softly. "Even when I doubted myself, even when I let anger blind me, she reminded me who I was. Who I could still be." A small group of colleagues stopped at our table, sharing light chatter. I listened, appreciating the normalcy, the mundane comfort. "It's funny," I said quietly, how life moves on. Chaos fades. People change. And yet, some echoes of the past linger. Alex nodded. Echoes keep you aware. They don't control you anymore. I smiled, letting that sink in. I'm aware. I'm cautious. But I'm also free. I've reclaimed my time, my thoughts, my trust in myself. And that feels like victory. Alex reached over, tapping my hand. Victory doesn't always roar. Sometimes it whispers. And you've earned every whisper. I laughed softly, warmth spreading through me. I think I understand that now. Strength doesn't have to be loud. Confidence doesn't have to be vengeful. Happiness doesn't have to be dependent on anyone else. For a long moment, we sat in quiet companionship, sipping coffee, letting the city hum around us. I reflected on every betrayal, every heartbreak, every sleepless night. And yet, the weight was gone, replaced by quiet resolve. I whispered to myself, just barely audible, I survived them, and I survived me. I am not broken. I am whole. And though some scars remain, they don't hurt, they remind me that I am alive, aware, and forever changed. The sun dipped lower, casting golden light across the table. I took a slow breath, smiling faintly. The past doesn't define me anymore. It shaped me. And now, I finally get to live my life, fully, without fear, without doubt. Forever changed, but stronger than I ever imagined.